November 17th, 2024. Good day, everybody. I am Connor with Honor. Let's work on the Agua Dulce real estate update of Santa Clarita. But let me give you the overall view. It is Sunday, and those cities have been requested by a couple different clients of mine. They want to see what's happening in those areas, so I will provide that as well. So looking at this quick market update, we have 8 properties that are going to be coming soon in the Santa Clarita Valley real estate world. We also have several other properties that are active on the market. Let me give you those. These are added during the last week. New listings 58 this past week. Price changes 72. That's actually up from last week. So we're watching as sellers are readjusting their strategy. Back on market property 16 have actually canceled escrow and gone back onto the market for sale. If you're a buyer out there, these are important to watch, because if you're not, you might be missing another opportunity, thinking that maybe those properties were priced too high in the beginning, but now they more fit your needs. We have these properties active under contract 29, pending sales 45 closed this last week. So 45 properties actually sold and closed escrow. All of Santa Clarita Valley, that includes Acton and Agua Dulce. 7 properties expired, 11 canceled, and 7 have been put on hold. 6 have actually been withdrawn and removed from the multiple listing service. This happens especially as we get into the slower holiday months. Sellers reevaluate, and then sometimes they're listening to information that maybe could be leading them astray. And I say that only because there are great markets out there for sellers when the market's super fast, and there are a lot of buyers out there, but that also means when there's those many buyers, typically competition could be higher. And when you have competition as a seller with other listings, there are issues that could come in where buyers can change their mind, come out, and maybe go select something else as these other properties refresh and come onto the market. Sometimes for sellers, the best place to be is in a little bit of a slower buyer market, but buyers are much more committed because of the less inventory. Current listing prices for single family homes in Acton range widely from around $499 at the low end upwards of nearly $2 million. That does showcase a spectrum of options for more affordable rural homes to expansive estates. Agua Dulce is known for its unique landscapes and friendly properties. They have listings that appeal to buyers looking for spacious lots and rural lifestyles. Price ranges significantly change here as well. We have homes listed between approximately $450,000 and over $3 million. That caters to a variety of budgets and lifestyle preferences. The market in Agua Dulce is reflective of its niche appeal, attracting buyers who are specifically interested in a semi-rural lifestyle within reach of the greater Los Angeles areas. Now, these localized stats for Acton and Agua Dulce are key for potential buyers and sellers interested in these distinct Santa Clarita communities. The access for these is going to be 14 freeway primarily, and of course there's always a back way in from Santa Clarita. If you take Bouquet Canyon, maybe Sierra Highway, you can also get there in that regard. But 14 freeway is typically the way most people get to those areas. And again, it's just a few more miles from Santa Clarita Valley, so they're not very far, and they're going to offer a different kind of appeal, larger properties, potential for livestock, horses, and these sorts of things. Again, those properties, most of them, just for FYI, if they're not hooked up to city sewer, city water, usually they have wells in place. And in some cases, if there is no access to water, they're going to have a large water tank, and then you have water trucked in every month and delivered to your property. And then from there, they have gray water tanks. They have other things that anybody can get used to. And really, that property becomes less dependent on city facilities. Some people like that. Some people have large solar arrays out there. Some people try to detach from the grid altogether. They have battery components in place and those sorts of things. One thing to also watch out for regarding the sewer, a lot of these properties are on septic systems, and they're great. Just make sure going through that the seller does make sure that's inspected, and then make sure it's cleared out and starts fresh for you as a new buyer. And I've seen some properties sell out in Acton and Agua Dulce that have septic tanks that haven't been looked at for 20 and 30 years, not even drained. And that could potentially be a problem for a buyer. So make sure your due diligence is done with regard to that. Now, homes in Acton and Agua Dulce typically stay on the market longer than those in areas like Valencia or Saugus. For example, properties with larger lots or unique rural setups might see days on market averages that surpass 90 days, sometimes even longer, but that's just very typical for that type of area. Now, while these days on market figures may seem high, they're reflective of a specialized buyer pool, often those interested in rural or semi-rural lifestyles. As such, these properties require a tailored marketing approach, one you need to understand with each select and that understands these unique types of buyers. Acton and Agua Dulce are some of the few areas in Santa Clarita Valley with equestrian zoning and horse-friendly properties. This offers a distinct appeal for buyers interested in the equestrian amenities, agricultural uses, or simply larger expanses of land for recreational activities. Now, I'm very well versed in understanding these properties, from understanding barn and stable features to navigating local land use restrictions and zoning regulations. We look all of those up when it comes to each one of these properties. And of course, with regard to Acton and Agua Dulce, there is a seasonal market behavior that I'd like to mention. The winter months tend to see fewer listings and less buyer activity due to colder weather and potential access issues on the more rural roads, especially when the rain starts. Highlighting these areas really do help both buyers and sellers gauge their property sales with optimal timing. And of course, for example, sellers listing in spring or summer may see faster sales or better offers due to improved property access and appeal during those seasons. Now, they do have multi-generational properties, single level homes, larger land parcels. This is ideal for buyers looking for these more expansive spaces. And again, not having the neighbors right on top of you. Some people really enjoy that. But with there could be a potential trade-off because of access from the actual main highway to the property. But if you're looking for internet connections and all that, these areas have all of that and more, so you don't have to panic. Also, they do give some buyers and property owners the ability to put in more of those ADUs, those accessory dwelling units, extra houses on their properties that are very simple to put together. And a lot of times there's not as much restriction putting one there versus putting one in Stevenson Ranch in a backyard. So that's something else if you want to extend your family, have parents move in, and you have those boomerang kids that are coming back, or maybe the ones that never left, just giving them their own space. It's a lot easier out in those areas. You have the larger lots and a little bit less regulation as far as those go. Now, as far as those, we have different loan types for buyers, USDA loans, because they apply to certain rural properties. So if you're looking at the USDA loan program, and in some cases that's zero down, those properties, some of them fit. That's definitely a good question to talk to your agent about, or your lender, or me if I happen to be that guy. And then finally, certain rural properties, FHA and VA loans are often common, but also there's careful navigation that is required to make sure that these properties do fit within those loan programs. And the one thing you don't want to do is expend all this money on inspections before you really know that it is really approved for that type of loan. You might write it and you might get into escrow, but then your lender might come back and say, sorry, made a mistake. And sometimes mistakes cost a lot of money. So make sure you get that locked down at the beginning. Water and land considerations, besides the zoning, you want to look at the septic systems like I talked about in place, and also water sources. Some people saying they have a well that might not be producing enough water because the water table has a tendency to be low in those areas. Just watch out for that. But I often have buyers trying to bridge that gap between city sewer and septic and having tanked in water versus city water. And really, it's just a different approach to something that's very sustainable, and it works out very well in the long run. Just have to understand a little bit and learn more about it, and you're there. This has been your update for Sunday. I'm Connor with Honor. Don't forget to check out my book. You can find it on Amazon. It's the Buyer's Guide and Seller's Guide to Buying and Selling Real Estate in 2025. It's the Santa Clarita edition, so please check that out. You can get there by going to www.santaclaritaopenhouses.com/book. I would be honored, and if you're concerned about the cost, no problem. We will give that back to you once we get into escrow. But the bottom line is it's really a good resource, and what it does is it gives you the questions that you should be asking and considering, whether you're using me or somebody else. It at least gives you a much better understanding, and very simple things like going and talking to the neighbors before you actually start to pay for inspections to make sure that they're going to be negotiable if in fact they have issues related to your property that are stemming from their property. I'm Connor with Honor. We'll talk to you in the next one. Be well, ladies and gentlemen. Valencia will be tomorrow, so we'll get into that specific niche market, Valencia real estate in California. Be well. We'll talk to you soon.